Welcome to the SMX Insider post-race show, Lumen Field in Seattle. Monster Energy, Supercross, and the SMX World Championship. The season just keeps giving both classes great battles. A new star in the 250 division, and a veteran showing his old grit, winning in the 450 class with Cooper Webb right there.
That was wild.
Jason Wygant and Ricky Carmichael up top. We'll hear from Will Christian and Jason Thomas later in the show. Champagne time for the top three in the 450s. Webb, Chase Sexton, and Aaron Plessinger.
That's what it's all about. Spraying that champagne, and you work so hard during the weeks, Jason, and it's a great feeling to see it pay off. Not only for the riders, but the race teams as well. I call them the unsung heroes that don't get the credit that they deserve. Work hard during the week for their racers to have the best bike setup possible.
I was just talking to a lot of the teams lately about the roller coaster. When a season of surprises like this, it's exciting when you're watching it like we're doing, but these folks are living it, these ups and downs and the emotions of it all. And for Chase Sexton getting that win last week in Birmingham, and it looked like he might be able to get it in Seattle as he took the lead.
You can't be bummed on this ride. You know, it's just, you go back and you've seen some of the best battles from the best that have ever done it. And when they both are managing these gnarly conditions and the one guy gets the best of you, especially when you're trying as hard as you can, I mean, they both rode well, you know, and it's just, understand the frustration maybe from Chase, but, you know, looking big picture, he's got to be pumped with, he still got second, he didn't get third, and he rode well.
There's Aaron Plessinger with his dad, Scott, there.
Yeah.
These are the highlights of Seattle Supercross in the 450 class. This Monster Energy Supercross Championship was heating up as the race began, and it only got better as the night unfolded. In the main event, Aaron Plessinger and Malcolm Stewart are going to tag each other in the first turn, and there's Cooper Webb slicing to the inside.
Yeah, you heard what AP said. He stalled the bike, so it kept going forward, and honestly, I thought the two was going to run away with it, but boy, was I wrong, because last time he was in this position, he led wire to wire.
Here is Sexton making moves around his teammate Plessinger. So that's fifth. Dylan Ferrandis up ahead in fourth.
Sexton was the fastest guy through that rhythm lane all night. Dylan riding really well early on right here. It's like in a hornet's nest. These championship contenders, guys have been racing for the win every single weekend.
Like you said, Webb was not able to roll away. No wire-to-wire win this time because Ken Roczen, ailing shoulder and all, on the charge.
Well, you're listening to Will's report. I mean, the guy's shoulder is in really bad shape. To be able to hang on as long as he did in these treacherous conditions is just a sign of how strong he is and the determination that he brings to the table. And he is so explosive, and the intensity that he has early on is what helps him in situations like this also.
Webb kept fighting. Gets him back momentarily.
Right.
Roczen fighting back again.
And you can see the different rhythm combinations right there. Pick your poison. It would change too with how ruddy it got later on in the race, as you'll see.
Now Sexton challenging Justin Cooper for third, but you can see Cooper Webb not that far ahead.
He's not. They were all bunched up here, and I loved that inside line right there, how the SMX track crew was able to give an opportunity for these riders to get an inside rut built up. So a lot of block passes there, passes for the lead.
That's the big moment. Sexton first around his championship rival Webb, and then attacks Roczen.
There you go. There's that rhythm lane that four of Chase Sexton had dialed. That was really his go-to line. If he was able to do that, he could gap the field. And that was enough to maintain a lead. And I'll tell you what, the 94 Ken Roczen definitely didn't make it easy. Almost like like he had it out for Cooper. Obviously he didn't, but he was going out of his way to defend the position.
Oh yeah.
I think he should, but he was going way out of his way this time, but that's all right.
Justin Cooper, watch here, he hit past Roczen for third, then a crash. And Plessinger sneaks by.
Well, and it's tough when you're riding those tough blocks like that right on the side of the track. One miscalculation, or you lean to the right or the left too much, it's over. But watch Cooper, he almost goes down, and I'm watching him. I didn't see the 4, then I look up. Coop makes the pass by the lead with 2 laps to go. Now, I thought the 4 was going to get back by him right here, but he wasn't able to jump off of that tabletop, and that allowed Coop to get a pretty good sequence through that rhythm lane. That's the rest. Now look there's that rhythm lane there's that combination that Chase was trying to do. He's able to get over that 5-footer, he could have tripled on him.
Just missed. This is the last lap. Now the last turn. A ton of speed for Sexton. Webb's though guarding the inside. Nowhere for Sexton to go. Webb wins by 0.7 seconds after 20 minutes and change of racing.
Yeah, door was closed. That was a great effort for Chase Sexton though. And see, he's beat up. And it's tough. You come that close, you come from behind, you pass everybody into the lead, and man, it sucks to lose like that, but he's got to be happy with his performance, and really, you know, like, you hate to give up the points, but still it was a good ride for him.
And there you see the results in Seattle. Plessinger joining Sexton and Webb on the podium. Well, that was some great racing, and not really a surprise. We know as the championship gets closer and closer to the end, these two will step up, and they did.
Dylan Paramus, top 5. Great job. It sounds like the most difficult track of the year so far. I think the mind forgets sometimes of the tough conditions that they've already raced, but it was certainly gnarly.
And there's the full field right there. Good job. It's back-to-back top 10s, by the way, for Benny Bloss on the Beta. And here's how this race impacts the standings. Webb takes an 8-point lead to 11, but still a good amount of races left for Sexton to close back in. Roczen showing heart, holding on to third.
It's a 2-man fight right now for the championship, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, and no more gimmies. I mean, these guys have to really execute every part of their game.
And it all leads to this, the SMX World Championship playoffs. How fun would it be to have the points between Webb and Sexton close there, and then also throw in all the riders we know that will come back from injury, like Eli Tomac, Jenton Hunter Lawrence. The bubble to make it into the playoffs right now looks like this. Mitchell Harrison just ahead of Jerry Robin, but not only Supercross, but all the Pro Motocross motos will be factored in as well to determine who makes the playoffs. Those races coming up September in North Carolina, in St. Louis, Missouri, and the finale of the World Championship in Las Vegas. But let's break down what we saw here in Seattle.
Yeah.
Look, we kind of hype it up sometimes. I was really pushing this week about how great the battle was last year between Sexton and Webb, but I'll be honest, I didn't think it would be this good again, and it actually was.
Well, that's what I was like. I was kind of joking about reverse psychology there, and I'm like, you know, I was wanting to see it.
Sure.
I'm like, but there's no way this could happen. And it did.
Yes.
It did, but 2 incredible rides by 2 incredible champions. And, you know, it was a great win, I think, especially mentally for Coop. Coop said there's no way he was going to let him get 2 in a row, and it's all business, which it is at this time of the championship. But also, if you're Chase Sexton, he rode an incredible ride. He can't beat himself up. He did really, really well against a 2-time Supercross champ and is an absolute dog in these situations.
Yeah, and I want to ask you about that specifically. For Webb to have the lead, get passed by Roczen, and then eventually Sexton, and then figure out a way to rebuild and get back in it. Just talk about the mental strength to do that.
Well, it's tough because when we were off air before we were doing this, I was telling you, I'm like, man, it just looked like Coop maybe got a little bit tight. Remember last year he got some arm pump. I'm like, well, that was weird. But what I think, he wasn't able to pull away from Kenny, and when you do that, you tend to have to ride a little bit harder. So maybe he did get a little bit of arm pump and had to pull the reins back and was willing to do that and maybe get past and not get the arm pump so bad to where you're like in the red zone. And I'm totally speculating, just guessing. But then he was able to manage that and just slowly chip away and get back to that lead is what was fun for me to watch and what I think happened. But I'm sure we'll get some more words from Coop and see if that's exactly what happened. But that's what I would suspect.
Yeah, absolutely. And we also knew that other riders would be a factor, not on the results in the end, because Webb and Sexton were 1-2. But you look at OL Roxon Road, Justin Cooper, Plessinger, Dylan Ferrandis was in the mix. We're going to see this, I think, over the next month or so of this championship.
Well, I do, and all the guys that you just mentioned, Weege, are awesome because they're going to help these guys. If you're Chase Sexton, maybe get in between Chase and Coop, and same for Coop.
Yep, it's going to be interesting with so much to play for. Send it trackside now with Jason Thomas.
Well, you heard Cooper Webb on the podium talking about he wished he could give you a POV or a viewpoint to what this track looked like in that main event. So we're going to do just that. I'm standing in the section that Ricky was referring to where Sexton had that edge. He was stepping on, stepping off in that first section, and Cooper Webb kept diving to the inside and going over the tabletop. But let's take a look at these ruts. Now, I'm just going to step down into them. It's just a plethora of ruts across here. That's why Coop started going tight, trying to get out of those ruts. But Sexton was doing a great job of managing this section. Now you tell me, you come out of that corner and you have to choose one of these ruts. How are you going to manage this over the course of 21 minutes? That is what these guys had to deal with each and every time. And that's just the start of this rhythm section which they were tripling all the way through. So the ask is really high to win a championship in this 450 class, and this is just one of the reasons why.
JT, when I watch these lines and these insides like you're talking about, how hard is it from your advantage, like how Coop turns really tight and even how Chase Sexton would turn tight, like how tight is that apex there?
Yeah, and it's compromised. To turn that tight, you give up all of your momentum. And I'm sure Cooper Webb is going to go back and watch the tape and say, that wasn't the right move in this section. I should have just carried the turn around and done like Chase was doing. But it's so hard to change your line mid-race there. And it's always a give and take. I think Coop was happy and comfortable with the inside, and Chase was comfortable with the outside, and that's just the rules that you kind of live and die with in Supercross. And the same thing could have been true for that whoop section. You saw how tight some of those guys were sticking in the corner and then diving down the right side, and then Coop opened up his corner and went all the way to the left and the outside. So there's no right or wrong to these things. It's just what do you feel comfortable with and what can you manage over the course of an entire main event.
Unbelievable how gnarly those ruts look there with JT getting close by. And that's the story always in Seattle, dealing with these conditions. We'll give you the upcoming schedule in Monster Energy Supercross, brought to you by the official video game Supercross 25 Championship, coming soon. Foxborough is next weekend. That's outside of Boston, then Philadelphia, East Rutherford in New Jersey, and Pittsburgh for the first time in about 40 years. Denver and Salt Lake will wrap up Supercross. Pro Motocross begins then in May. Send it down to Will Kristen with Aaron Plessinger.
Thank you, Jason. Here with Aaron Plessinger. Now, Aaron, we talked you up on the podium and you told us how much this race meant to you. But I would like in this chat here just to go back a little bit further. We've talked about how good the last few weeks have been for you, the last few rounds. But you and I were talking earlier how you got there, your journey from A1 to this point to getting these linked together podiums. It's been quite something. Try and talk to me about your season in all, if you can.
Yeah, I mean, it was such a tough start. I mean, A1 is A1, so I didn't really think much about it, ninth place or whatever. But the two back-to-back 20 seconds, DNFs, it really took a toll, and it sucked there for a while, and then just weird stuff kept happening. I got sick, and then just like my shoulder was being weird, and just everything just piling up, and then I wasn't in it really mentally, and I think that was one of the biggest things. And I talked to you about it before, but it was just like everything compiled, and it was like I didn't really let it implode or whatever, but I just kept a light heart, and I knew it was going to come around at some point. I just had to wait through it, and that's the tough part, about this is like, I see myself slipping back and back and back in the points, and it's like, man, you start this season wanting to win a championship, and now I'm in 18th in the points, and that was hard to look at. So you know, I just had to, I don't know, keep smiling and keep trying to have good days at the track, and you know, I was just telling myself it'll turn around, just make it, you know, just make it turn around, and I was like, you got all the power in the world, just to do it yourself, and you know, I started having better days at the track, and I started, you know, clicking off day after day, which was good, and that turned into a week that was really good, and that was right before Daytona, and you know, I told myself in the main, I was like, dude, you got to get a start. You got to get a start. It's like, it's time right now. And, you know, I got the whole shot, and I think I got the whole shot or whatever. I can't remember that far back. But no, it was just a really good start. And I led a couple laps, and it was like I was back. And my mind, I don't know, after that race, it gave me the confidence to be up there, to want to be up there, because a lot of us, you know, when we're in the back all the time, we don't think we can be up there. And once you get up in the front and notice that it's the same racing that it is in the back, it's just a little bit faster. It's a lot easier to think that way. And now I'm having weeks on weeks that are really good, and that's turned into, you know, 3 podiums this later part of the season. And yeah, it's a wonder to look back where I was after San Diego and Anaheim too, and see me during the week now. It's I guarantee if you ask my wife, she says I'm a lot happier and a lot better mood. So yeah.
Unbelievable story. Thank you for sharing in that with us. Like I said, absolutely fascinating to listen to you earlier, so I want to let everybody at home know, Aaron, thanks for your time and enjoy that podium again tonight.
Yeah, thank you guys.
250 class highlights Monster Energy Supercross from Seattle. Hayden Deegan leading the championship as we entered this one, but we've seen so many surprises this year.
Let's just say
here's one of them.
Popcorn was
necessary.
Premium tonight for all racing.
Deegan goes down early.
Yes.
So now he's in the back.
Yeah, and he crashed first lap in his heat race, and then first lap in the main. Rarely do you see that, but I love that inside corner. Cole Davies, you knew this win was just around the corner, and if you don't like what you're seeing now, you ain't gonna like the rest of the race for Cole Davies. He rode superb. But this guy right here, Garrett Marchbanks, he was all over the 23 of Julien Boumer, and Boumer did well, you know, taking that pressure from Garrett, but that was an incredible ride. He rode well all night long. He was riding well in his heat race. It was cool to see him kind of remount and have a good finish.
Deegan battling his way forward, and a big battle specifically with Joe Shimoda on the 30.
Well, he did, and we're going to this corner where it's going to tell a great story later on in this race. But Joe trying to give the business back to Hayden Deegan. Hayden will eventually get back by Joe. I believe it was right here.
Yeah.
This rhythm section. Yeah, Joe just makes a small little mistake, and that line right there that Hayden did, that was the money line through that rhythm section. Looks back, make sure Joe isn't there. He's going to have plenty of room.
I did not even realize that Marchbanks made that mistake there.
I wondered what happened, because I knew Marchbanks was in second. Then we cut back to him, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. Did he get past again, or was my mind playing tricks? Was he never in second?
Now watch the 37 of Cody Schock. He's ahead of Deegan, running well in the top 5 until this.
Yeah, he just gets a little off center in the rut, it seems like, on the takeoff, and goes off course. I hope that he's okay, and he's just a little startled there. But I think that those tough blocks soften the blow or impact for sure.
Now Marchbanks back around Boumer.
Yep, he's going to rip a tear off, has some clean vision, and take his second place.
This is a critical juncture. Boumer, second in the championship, still ahead of Deegan, but then late in the race, makes a mistake in the traffic, and Deegan now has an opening.
Yeah, this is going to be talked about. He just goes right for the block pass, and listen, it's championship time. They both know it. They're both going. We later found out why this move happened, but nevertheless, of how it happened, it's for the championship. And again, we saw multiple moves in that corner there. It just is what it is.
Yeah, Deegan on the giving and receiving end of it.
That's right.
But Cole Davies, incredible.
Yeah.
Didn't even know if he would turn pro this year or not, but he has been a revelation all season long and now has a win. There's his dad with a congratulations, 17 years old from New Zealand. 10 different 250 winners this year, and now spills over off the track for Beaumer and Deegan.
This is going to be fun. It's going to be fun. The showdown race is going to be fun, Weege.
Yeah, Beaumer said he's got one coming in Philadelphia. That's their next race.
That's right.
And Deegan takes third there with Marchbanks up on the box. That felt really good for him. Takes second to show you the results. Shimoda fifth, Moseman.
Oh. I didn't realize Cody got up, and I saw him in the mix like when he was going a lap down and he was fighting hard. That's a heck of a finish.
He was down for a while.
Right.
Yes. Yeah, he was down for a while, and then we saw him maybe racing a bit much for a lap rider, but that's why he was
he was going
fighting for
position.
eighth. Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That makes sense now.
Yes.
Yeah,
Jordan Smith.
He had a rough one. I saw one of the people from the team text me. He split his tire on the hot lap or the parade lap before the main. They had to change the tire.
What?
Yeah, it's wild.
And a couple crashes. He was only just getting back to racing after an injury. Somehow guts out a 12th place finish. Hunter Yoder 13th, Parker Ross, a rookie, in 14th. Championship standings, Deegan gains 2 more. Beaumer Davies is third, an outside shot of the title if disaster were to strike for those two. And again, their next race, you can watch that live on NBC from Philadelphia in 2 weeks as 250 East resumes next weekend in a wild championship fight there. Here's what is crazy. 11 250 races this year. You're looking at 10 winners. And what's more than that, the points leader in the 250 East, Tom Viel's not on that list. He hasn't even won. So we might have more winners before championship is decided.
That is just fantastic, and I see that. You talk about parity and depth, and I can tell you every single year it seems like, man, there's so much depth in these 250 divisional titles in these races, and I honestly think, and there's the proof in the pudding right there. That is absolutely incredible. I love it.
Yeah, Deegan, the only rider with 2 race wins this year. As we look forward to the next race in Foxborough.
That's right. Next weekend.
Here's a guy that's probably not being talked about enough. Seth Hamaker wins the showdown in Indy. He might have been the best rider last week, if not for a first lap crash in the Triple Crown. He comes back to win the other 2. He's not that far back in points. And the Philadelphia race, that's the home race for him. This is going to be exciting as we go east. This is kind of a new title contender here.
Well, and you think about him, and you brought up some great points. I mean, he's got the momentum going. I mean, I love, and I've talked about it already, I've loved what he has done in investing in himself and going down to the dog pound, riding with the Lawrences, working with Michael Byrne on and off the track. And I just think he has reset his career, and how he responded from that first moto crash last week was incredible. If he gets a couple more wins like that, I'm on board.
Okay, as far as 250 West.
Yeah.
Boys will be boys, as you said, between Beaumer and Deegan.
Yeah, well, I don't think that this rivalry is over, and it's not going to be over for a while. And here's another look. Championship, it's championship time, and this corner just set up was made for passes like this. Whether you want to say that it's aggressive, whether you don't, yeah, there's certain passes that you should do, shouldn't do, but it is what it is. Hayden Deegan was on the receiving side of that. I mean, you think about Cole Davies, he passed for the lead, similar to that, not quite the angle, but nevertheless, there is a beef between these two guys with everything that happened with Hayden last week. He didn't like with it. That was some retribution for there. It is what it is at the end of the day. Listen, I'm a big picture guy. I'm ready to go on to the showdown race between these two guys in Philly. And, you know, I think Deegan, he added to his points lead. And, you know, he has to manage this championship. And I think he'll be smart enough to look in his rear view, or if Juju is in front of him, you know, just play it, you know, play it as it comes. That's what you got to do, and I think it'll be all right. But it's going to be fun to watch.
It'll be fun to watch. Look, there are very few points that have teenagers battling. Usually that 250 title, they kind of talk about $500,000 plus in bonuses.
100%.
So there's a lot on the line. Egos as well with young kids. It's going to be exciting in both classes. As far as the manufacturer points are concerned, Yamaha ends up winning both classes tonight with Webb and Davies. So by far the best score of any of the manufacturers. That's the score from Seattle.
Right.
Show you the entire season standings in a moment. And this is a fun one to watch as well. Just incredible the highs and lows this year for every team. Been riding that roller coaster. Yamaha now with a 38-point gap in the manufacturer standings over KTM. Let's go back to the 450 division as we move forward. The points are important, yes. There's a 6-point swing if Webb had lost to Sexton or had won, but there's plenty of time for Sexton to make the points back.
Yeah.
That's not all of it. It's this momentum, this confidence, this strength against strength battle right now.
Well, and as we were getting ready to do this segment, I was thinking about like what would it have been like in my position, and I hate talking about like, oh, this is what I would have done, but it is relevant, and I think about the battles that I've had with Stu, with MC, with Reedy, and it's like when you're riding that well, and as much as of a mental advantage it would be, I don't think like if Chad would have beat me this way, I don't think I would have been beat up as much mentally. I just would have been fired up that I missed the 2 points because I would have known the circumstance. Like I don't know exactly what Chase Sexton was going through. So maybe he had arm pump. Maybe the bike wasn't perfect. So what I mean by that is like, okay, well, I got beat, but everything wasn't just right. So I'll be okay. I'm not mentally bothered by this loss other than just losing the point. So maybe it's that circumstance. And I love the ride that they both did. They both rode really, really great races, and Coop was just the better guy.
Yep.
And that's it.
But plenty of opportunity for Sexton to get him back.
Lots of racing left. And we're in open air stadiums, and that is the wild card the rest of the 6 rounds, so keep that in mind. We got lucky tonight.
Yeah, this one was good, but 4 straight races in the Northeast here in the springtime with open-air stadiums. That's an unprecedented run to the Northeast. Actually asked a couple riders about that upcoming schedule.
Once I go east, it's just like a different feeling, whether it's the crowd or just in the stadiums that as a kid I went to.
When it comes to the East Coast, it kind of is where the championships kind of won and lost, and you kind of figure out who's who in the series.
When you're in that championship hunt and in that championship pressure, that's when I really thrive. You know, when you start thinking and the what ifs start to creep in, and that's when I really, really excel.
Pittsburgh, I was a Steelers fan actually. I'm not a huge football fan, but I was a Steelers fan kind of growing up. I'm from Illinois, so my grandparents are all Bears fans, and can't really let them see that. But yeah, no, I'm excited.
Check out one of those rounds. That's really cool to have Supercross moving into those markets. It's been sporadic in some of them, now consistent. Here's the upcoming schedule. If you want to watch that Foxborough race, that's next Saturday. Race day live qualifying coverage at 1:30 Eastern, and the gate drop for the races is 7 p.m. Amazing what Seattle has delivered in both classes, not even just the main races, the LCQs. It was incredible from beginning to end. Thank you for joining us. See you next weekend in Foxborough. And we thank these fans because they were helping cheer these riders on the whole time. Keeps heating up in the 250s. Cole Davies has no worries, oh mate, because he's got a win for the first time as a professional. Deegan and Beaumer will fight it out another day. And the same for Sexton versus Webb, another instant classic from Seattle. And this time, again, it goes to Cooper Webb. Thanks.